Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Outside of Life, where it's all about how you can turn your creative passion into a profession. My name is Eva, and my guest today is an illustrator and concept artist from Los Angeles, California. She attended the Academy of Art University in San Francisco, and right after graduating started her internship and later full-time job at Disney Interactive, where she designs characters and backgrounds for Disney mobile games. She has been recognized by the Society of Illustrators in New York, as well as participating for 4 years in Academia's Art Annual Spring Show. In her illustrations, she likes to be on a whimsical side, most interested in color, shapes, and storytelling. She has been a visual development artist on an unreleased animated short film, Sonder, with a group of passionate artists and team called SOBA Productions. So please welcome Julia Blattman, and let's get to the interview. Welcome everyone to the next episode of Outside of Life, and I'm super happy to have my guest here, Julia. Please welcome. Hi.
Hello.
I'm super happy that you took time from your busy schedule, and maybe we can start with your background, and you can tell us a bit more about your childhood, and maybe something like, did you have like a creative play when you were a child, something which kind of enhanced your creativity?
Yeah, so I've been drawing pretty much all my life. I started at a super young age, and like my parents are always super supportive of my hobby. And, it kind of all started with me drawing mermaids all the time. Like I would stay up past my bedtime and like make a little fort out of my bed and like draw mermaids with a flashlight. And I just remember being so excited. Like it was such an adrenaline rush just to like draw all the time. And like my parents always got me art classes, and throughout middle school and high school, I went through a lot of different art phases. And then I realized that's what I wanted to do for a career. So I went to Academy of Art University and studied illustration. And yeah, that's kind of how I got here. So.
Oh, perfect. And so how did the first conversation with your parents look like? Like, oh, I want to take this professionally.
I think they already knew that I was super into it, so it wasn't too much of a surprise to them. My cousin went to an art school, and I just remember when I was like 8 years old, that's what I wanted to do. Like I was like, oh, I want to go to art school. And my parents were like, okay. Yeah.
And how did you choose the art school? Like, because there are a lot of them, and so what was your priority when choosing a school?
Yeah, I just remember like driving with my parents through San Francisco, and I would see all of the Academy of Art signs everywhere. And, that's the same school my cousin went to. So I was like already pretty set on that. I did explore some other art schools, but I just feel like that one was the one for me because I really love San Francisco. So I wanted to be in the city, I heard just great things about it. So.
And did you draw at home as well with your cousin sometimes or not?
She was a different kind of artist. She was a shader, I believe, at DreamWorks. So she was more on the technical side, but.
Yeah, and so why mermaids? What was the fascination with mermaids?
I think it honestly all started with The Little Mermaid, just watching that every day on repeat as a little girl. And then, I would just start making my own mermaids every night, and I was just so excited, making them with my colored pencils. Yeah, super nerdy.
And how does it look like when you are applying in schools in your area? Because also in Europe it's a bit different. So did you have to prepare a portfolio for your school? And
I think I actually don't think I had to. For some other schools I applied to, I had to put a portfolio together, but yeah, I honestly don't quite remember how it went with my school.
Yeah. And then how did you get where you are now? Or which was the biggest decisions or turning points you had to do? Or what happened after the school?
Oh, yeah. So this happened, I think a week before graduation. My friend who was interning at Disney Interactive here before me recommended me for the next open internship position here as a concept artist. And so, I took the interview, and then I had about a week to decide if I was going to move down here to LA and take the part. So I did, and it was kind of crazy, like finding an apartment, but it worked out.
So when you did the interview for the internship, did you do it through Skype? And
Yeah, it was through Skype. Yeah. So I had like normal clothes on top and then like pajamas on the bottom to be comfy. It's pretty awesome.
with the coffee and TV
Yeah.
and so when you were still like studying and you were deciding where to go next, you knew already that you want to work with Disney, so that was your dream job.
Yeah, Disney has always been like one of my goals for sure. Yeah, in school, for the first few years, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do. Like at first, I was like, oh, I want to do children's books. And then like I got really interested in the art of animation,
Yeah.
and like I just knew that's what I wanted to do. So like Disney feature film was one of my like big goals. I never thought I would be working in mobile games, to be honest, but it's actually pretty rewarding. Like I actually like it a lot. So
And so, what did you prepare for the portfolio again for this one? Or because people have always these questions, oh, what should I put in portfolio? How to choose? And
yeah.
so, how did you prepare?
Um, I just took some tips from my like from my teachers and stuff, and I took like portfolio preparation classes in my final year, and like I learned about which work to include. Like it's good to have a range of like finished works as an illustrator, as well as like proving that you can do it in a way, like showing your steps and like even showing like the ugly phases to get where you are in the final product. So yeah, and then just having like a wide range of like characters, the backgrounds, and it's also good if you can show that you can like specialize in something in particular, but also can be like diverse in what you can do, like have a good range.
Ah, perfect. And so,
Yeah.
when you were studying or when you were still growing up, did you have a mentor or someone who inspired you?
Um, I like always had friends that always inspired me. Like I try to surround myself with people who are better than me all the time. Um, I had like really great teachers, and my director of illustration, Chuck Pyle, was always just so supportive and always like pushed me to do my best.
Ah, perfect. So, what was the best advice you ever received?
Oh my gosh. I think it was from Chuck Pyle, and he said to never stop being a student, just like always stay hungry and never settle for where you're at right now, because then you'll just never improve really, and just constantly keep learning.
Yeah, yeah. So, even if you are at a certain level when it's like, okay, my art is good, but still try
Yeah,
to improve.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ah, perfect. And
So I took
well,
that to heart.
and what is your take on, like some people have different approach on the learning, like you have like strengths on one side and then maybe weaknesses on other things like either backgrounds or characters or whatever. So do you try to build on the weaknesses or just
Oh yeah.
strengthens your strengths? So what is
Kind
your
of
focus?
both. Kind of both. Like I definitely know my weaknesses, and I try to like make up for that. Like I know that like characters aren't my strongest suit, so I've been going to like figure drawing workshops and just starting to like relearn the basics. Yeah, but I also try to like work in my comfort zone every now and then.
Yeah, yeah. So you work on both at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, that's cool. So,
Yeah.
and what is your kind of like a idea or vision or something which always comes through your work, something which you can always see?
Um, I'm always trying to go for like a whimsical vibe with my work. Um, I'm always like super interested in lighting. Like that's just something I've always been trying to like incorporate with my work is like interesting lighting patterns and stuff. Also colors, like my work is probably too colorful, but
So, and now what you are inspired by? Because you talked about the light and colors around you. So maybe what is then the main inspiration, or how do you combine your inspiration, or maybe what is also the weird thing which inspires you?
Oh yeah, sure. To be honest, like anything can inspire me. Like it doesn't even have to be art related. Like I can just be walking outside and just see a cool like dappled lighting effect on the ground and be super inspired by that and like take pictures and then like incorporate that in my next piece or something. It could be just like the color of certain flowers, like the pattern in that. Um, could be fashion. Yeah, inspiration can really come from anywhere. And music too. Like I've
Oh.
made pieces based on songs before.
So do you
Um,
play also like music when you are like creating certain
oh
pieces?
yeah, that's another like I think that's something weird that I do is like I have to match songs to what I'm painting or like background noise. So if I'm painting like a creek, I will listen to like 3 hours of a creek or like a rainforest or I don't know. It's just something weird like that.
Oh, that's super cool because then can get you in a mood and
Yeah,
yeah.
it really gets me in the mood and like I want to like feel like I'm in the environment that I'm making, if that makes
Ah,
sense.
perfect. And
Yeah.
what about like motivation? You know, when you have like down
Mhm.
days, so what do you
Oh
do to
yeah.
overcome that?
Yeah, that's interesting because I'm actually going through a little bit of an artist block right now. Um, so the best thing for that, instead of doing like no art at all, that doesn't make me feel any better. So what I like doing is just like taking my time with studies. And lately, my coworkers and I at work we're doing like movie studies. So we'll like choose one movie that we'll all do paintings from, and then we'll have like 30 minutes just to like paint a certain screenshot that we choose. And like that's been really helping me with just like turning off my brain kind of and just like focusing just on composition and like color because everything's been worked out for you by the director. So it's really helpful to do that. Um, let's see what else. Um, I've also been taking like classes on schoolism.com, like just like going back to basics like color and light with Dice Asumi and Robert Kondo. That just really helps a lot with technique and stuff. Um, what else? Yeah, and just going to figure drawing workshops just helps a lot too. And yeah.
Yeah, I did also the class with dice. It was like
Oh,
really
did
nice.
you?
Yeah, yeah, because I'm also
I actually
fascinated with
didn't
color.
finish it fully, but man, I learned so much from just like 5 of the classes. It's so
Yeah,
good.
exactly. And because they talk about the observation as well a lot. And so, how do you approach your observation when you are like creating art?
Mm-hmm. Um, like I always try to be really conscious of colors and how they work in real life and just like pushing that a little bit more in my artwork. Um, also, like I'm always like trying to step back and look at my artwork and like if something isn't working, I'll just like not look at it for a day and come back with like a fresh pair of eyes. So that helps sometimes.
Ah, okay. So, do you also work on different pieces at the same time, or do you like to have
Oh
one
yeah,
and finish?
definitely. Yeah, uh-huh. So yeah, I'm always working on like a few different pieces at the same time because like I don't know, if I get too precious with one, I can kind of lose focus with others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like, if people want to do what you do now, maybe can you talk about like mediums or tools, maybe what you use now and what you used when you were starting?
Yeah. So in school, I did a lot of traditional medium. Like, I think for the first 2 years, it was mostly just all traditional, like painting, charcoal, pencil, ink, all of that. And that really actually helped when I moved on to digital finally. I feel like people who start painting with digital right off the bat, like with Photoshop, there can be something kind of lacking in technique that I feel like you can only find through like trying it traditionally. So that's what I would recommend, like trying to learn how to paint like outside with real paint before you start dabbing into Photoshop. Um, yeah, but I personally just use Photoshop. Like I've tried programs like Corel Painter and it's just not for me. So just sticking to Photoshop. That's all I use.
And what do you use in maybe at work or at home? Do you paint on
Oh yeah.
Cintiq or
Uh-huh.
like Intuos or I don't know?
Yeah. So for the past few years, I've been using Cintiqs, and before that, I actually really didn't like Cintiqs too much. I couldn't really understand why, but I was just using like an Intuos one, like with a pen and the little tablet in front of you, and I guess I was so used to that I didn't want to like try new things. But like with the Cintiq, it just feels so natural, and I really love it. So at home, that's what I use, and also at work.
Oh, perfect. And so from the traditional tools, do you have like a favorite brand as well? Maybe of pencil, like this is my favorite
Oh
pencil.
yeah. Yeah, so lately I've been painting in gouache for the past year, and I've been really loving like Winsor Newton colors and like Holbein brands, and like I really love those because with gouache you can just get like such vibrant pops of color that I can't really get with others like acrylic. I can't really achieve bright colors that I can in gouache.
Yeah, and so you also talked about like a group drawing before. So how do
Mm,
you find people to draw with? Or before
yeah,
maybe at work, now you have colleagues, but
yeah.
how do you get yourself noticed? So before it was
Mm,
maybe classmates or, you know, the whole networking thing. How do you do it?
yeah, actually, when I was moving down here, I knew like no one down here, so it's kind of scary for me. But I knew that there was like a huge community of artists down here, so I just like got the courage to just ask some people to go painting, and that's kind of how I met a lot of artists.
And they were from your work or from somewhere else?
No, they were just like some of them were in college, and yeah, they were just from all over the place. And then, yeah, same with my work. Like, there's a good community of artists here too that are super passionate.
But if you can give like specific tips, how did you find those people, you know? Because it can be difficult
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah. So I went to CTN Animation Expo, which is a convention here in Burbank, and I've been going there for the past few years. So, like, I would go there and like network and like meet artists like from all over the place, which was great. And so, like, I had met this one guy there who is my boyfriend now. Um, and like I knew he was down here, so I hit him up to go painting. And like he already knew a lot of people, so then he introduced me to a lot of different artists.
Ah,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so
Yeah,
are you going also this year for the CTN?
yeah, I'm gonna try. Last year I tabled there, which was like a super cool experience. But yeah, I'll be attending this year just to like walk around and check out the panels and stuff.
Ah, perfect. So I will
Yeah.
meet you there then.
Yeah, you're going? Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's perfect.
Good. And so what is your experience with events? You know, like, so the CTN Expo you mentioned that's good for networking. Do you go
Yeah.
to different ones as well?
Um, like I've been to a Schoolism Live event in San Francisco, and that was so cool. Like it was so rewarding. I think it was like just a few days of just artists talking and like presenting their work and sharing their like tips and advice and stuff. So that was really cool. But besides that, I just go to like small art conventions, and CTN is probably the biggest one I go to. Hmm.
Oh, nice. And so what about the project you're working on now, or something maybe you can
Hmm.
share already, or maybe you can tell us
Yeah.
about past projects as well?
Yeah, sure. So for the past, I think 2 years, I've been working on this short film with like a group of super passionate, amazing people. The short film we're working on is called Sonder, and I think it's gonna come out by the end of this year. I could be completely wrong, but yeah, I've just been working on it from the very beginning with this team of people that I've worked on like a game in the past with. And I've been doing biz dev work for that. Like in the beginning, I did characters and just kind of explored what the world could look like. And yeah, now I'm doing lighting keys and color keys, and it's just been really fun. So I do that every week. Like we meet up once a week. to present our work and stuff. So that's also a big motivator too, because like people are counting on me to do something, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like in school when you have assignments and you're like expected to do something. It's kind of nice to have something like that.
Oh, nice. And maybe you can mention for some of the people in our audience, if they don't know what is VizDev, like what does it include and what do you actually work on?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, like in the beginning when I started working on this short film with people, I was doing a lot of character exploration, like what was the overall style that was gonna like unify this world and the characters in it. So in the beginning it was just like a bunch of like sketches, like 50 sketches of the characters to like explore. And like not taking anything too precious, like just going through a bunch of ideas, you know? And a lot of it is also like figuring out like what a room would look like, or what does this restaurant look like that the characters are in, and just really like flush that out entirely, like the chairs, like what they're eating, the atmosphere, what the lighting is going to look like, etc. What I'm doing right now is they'll send me like a screenshot of our animatic, which is just like a rough 3D model in motion. And I'll draw on top of that and correct like the character's pose. And then I'll do like a flat color wash, and then I'll put in lighting. And usually I'll give them like a few different lighting options to choose from. And that's how we do it on our team.
So it's something like, you know, when you have a certain mood, then you have this like model, and if it is creepy, then you add green light or whatever. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also a big part of it is lots and lots of reference, like gathering lots of reference for the lighters. And especially in the beginning too, like I would just hoard reference for everything.
Perfect. And what about like when you work also on your stuff and then you have a full-time job, how do you combine your income streams, or do you have one main income, or what is your...
Well, my full-time job is at Disney here, and I think that's definitely my main source of income. I've been doing freelance on the side. I try not to take too much freelance because then I can get overwhelmed. And I'm not really too great at the balancing thing yet. Still kind of working on that. But yeah, so I do that. And I also like table at conventions every now and then. I think I've done about 2 or 3. Yeah, 2 or 3.
Oh, nice.
So that's like good money on the side too.
Yeah, because I was talking with one of my friends, and she usually says like you pay right for the table, and then from the sales of your artwork that it usually comes back.
Yeah, you make it back.
Yeah, but you get usually more back than you pay for a table, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Yeah, so it's worth it in the end. Yeah. I mean, it is a lot of work though. Like, you know, like selling stuff for 3 days and being on your feet for like 8 hours a day, like talking. It's a lot. You lose your voice.
But you meet also a lot of people, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I also do like book covers for like children's books. Someday I'd like to do like an entire children's book if I have the time. And I'm also trying to work on my own projects too. Like I'm trying to come up with like a story that I can illustrate as well. Trying to find time for that. But lately I've just been trying to like go back to my techniques and do studies and whatnot.
And so when you are creating stuff for like a CTN or other event, so you have like art prints, and then what else do you sell? What are the products?
Last year, I made my first art book, which was super rewarding. It was also a lot of work, but it was just like, it wasn't like a massive book. It was just like this little book filled with like maybe 30 pages of my artwork or something like that. That was super great to make, and that was probably the thing that sold most. Like people really like to buy books and stuff. People also really love buying little trinkets. Like little buttons or bookmarks people just go crazy for. Like I just saw people walking around with like loads of buttons and stuff. Yeah, because it's something nice and cheap, and you can still support the artist by buying that, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And I sold prints as well, but
And how do you design your day, or how do you plan your week when you have so many projects?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So Monday through Friday, I'm at work from pretty much like 9:30 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like at lunch, sometimes we do like studies together, like painting exercises and stuff. I also go to like figure drawing every now and then during the week. And then after work, I go to the gym, or at least try to. Some days I do. Um, and then I just try to like eat dinner and then do my own work from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the weekends, I usually like go outside to paint because like during the week, I don't really see the light of day too much. So I need to get out.
Yeah, and you're in a sunny area, so yeah, you should be
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I try to like get out and enjoy the nice weather and paint and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, because also when
yeah.
I was living in Denmark, it was sometimes, you go like to work when it's dark, you come back, it's
Oh
dark, and
yeah.
it's just
Oh
dark
my
all the
God.
time.
Mm.
So yeah, yeah, that's
Oh,
good
I
to
can't
paint
imagine that.
outside.
Yeah.
And so when you paint outside, do you take oil paints or tablet or something to sketch?
I've been using gouache paint, so I
Mm-hmm.
just like take my easel and take my gouache and go painting outside. I want to get into oils, but they're so hard to transport. I feel like I really like the colors that you can achieve in it, and I
Mm-hmm.
also like how it can kind of act like watercolor if you want it to, but
Mm-hmm.
also build up like acrylics. But
Mm.
I feel like they blend a lot better for me personally than acrylics in
Yeah,
some way. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm still trying to get used to it. I actually didn't really like gouache in school, but it grew on me.
Oh, nice. Because yeah, also when you mentioned that you try to paint sometimes, from the movies or outside. So what is
Yeah.
the thing what you are looking, for? Like, is it the layout you want to paint, or
Mm.
like
Hmm.
what interests you when you are doing a scene?
Yeah. Like I've definitely been trying to improve with my light and shadow pattern. So I
Mm-hmm.
really just try to simplify
Mm-hmm.
more. Like simplification is something that I wasn't always interested in. I was like, I used to paint like, oh, every single detail has to be in the scene and I have to like render the crap out of everything in order for it to be good. Like, I gotta like make it perfect. But lately I've been really interested in just simplicity
Mm-hmm.
can be so beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just looking for like composition and like trying to like squint and see the simple like two values that make
Mm-hmm.
up something, you know.
Yeah. And do you sketch it first with a pencil, just to see the values, like okay, to decide, or and then you go
Yeah,
to gush?
yeah, if I'm painting outside, I'll sketch it out and try not to spend like too much time on it. Like I don't like go in and like draw every little thing, just like loose, and then I paint it. Same thing in Photoshop. Like my sketches can be really ugly. like like I'm pretty sure if someone else saw it, like only I could understand in the initial stages. And then actually like do like 2 or 3 layers of like drawing passes. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
do something super rough at first, turn down the opacity on that, and then sketch over it. And then I block in like simple values.
Mm-hmm.
And then I move on to color from there.
Oh, nice. So, is there something kind of you wish you knew before you started your whole art career?
Mm, yeah, like in school, I wish I had known that animation was exactly what I wanted to do in the beginning because I just went through so many different dramatic art styles like throughout school. Like I really didn't know what my style was.
Mm-hmm.
So like my portfolio by like the third year was just all over the place, which isn't bad in art school. Like that's okay. You're figuring out what to do. But I wish I had like explored more what I like thought my style was in the beginning, if that makes sense.
And so, how would you find your style, or something would you be interested in? Because also when you're young and
Yeah,
you don't know what you want to do,
yeah.
so how would you
I
approach
feel
it?
I feel like you just gotta experiment and like style isn't really something that can be forced. I mean, you could like copy other people, but I don't know, just like know what you like and
Mm-hmm.
find what you enjoy doing. And I feel like with practice, like style is something that can just come naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if I have like a particular style with my work. I just try to paint things that I enjoy, and hopefully things will come from there.
Like the light, what you mentioned. So probably the
Yeah,
light is there all the time, so
light and
it kind
color,
of
something
becomes
I'm really
your
interested
style,
in.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Ah, okay, cool. Yeah, because I think it can be frustrating for young people or, like young artists, like, oh, I don't have a
Yeah,
style, and oh, what should I do
yeah,
now?
uh-huh. Yeah, no, and it's good to like see your inspirations, like your favorite artists, and then like it's okay to like derive a little bit from them and like take inspiration, but like it's even better to see what those artists' inspirations were, like older artists, and take from there.
Yeah. So, like, when you see how they simplified maybe the landscape, and
Yeah,
then you go paint outside.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, cool. And when you're designing characters, do you also simplify them, or do you have like specific shape for the characters, or?
Um, yeah, for characters, like for me, personality always comes first. And then like trying to find a rhythm with them and not have them be so stiff is also important. And I'm really interested in like expression as well. So that's something I try to do. Yeah.
So you connect like a personality maybe with the pose as well, like
Yeah,
the approach.
exactly. Hmm.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Cool. And what about some books? Can you recommend some books you love, or
Oh,
people should check
but
it out?
oh yeah, for sure. Gosh, there's so many. Trying to think of some. Um, The Color and Light by James Gurney is just amazing. Like I took a look at that the other month and it's so helpful. I think it's called Color and Light. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
But
I think
anything by James Gurney is just amazing and he's such a master at like light and color. You'll learn so much from him. And like kind of not art related, my favorite book of all time is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. It's just incredible. Like it's so good.
Goldfinch.
Yeah, The Goldfinch.
Ah, okay, cool. So we'll put it in show notes so people can check it out as well.
Yeah, and the whole book actually revolves around a certain painting called The Goldfinch. So yeah, just check it out.
Nice. And I didn't ask you yet about because you talked about different projects, and how do you decide what to say yes and no to? When you are like, what is going in your head when you need to decide?
Yeah. So I'm still kind of new to the freelance thing. Like I've been doing it for the past few years now. I try to say yes to only things I know I'm gonna enjoy. Like I wouldn't really say yes to like a graphic design project where I have to like make a logo. Like that won't go towards my career or portfolio at all.
Yeah.
So usually I'll say no to that. Or like if they're not willing to pay like a fair price for an artist's work, like I won't bother with it really. um, um, let's see what else. Yeah, also like super tight deadlines I try to avoid because that's pretty stressful. And recently I took on one that was a pretty tight deadline and it just kind of messed with my whole schedule. Like I couldn't go to the gym, I couldn't hang out with people. And yeah, that particular freelance thing didn't end up so well because like they ended up not paying me.
Great.
Yeah, so I'm still like in the middle of that, which is kind of hard, but I'll figure it out somehow.
So what would you say is like or was the worst career moment or most difficult one, and what do you learn from it?
I actually think it's this freelance project that I took on because they wanted 2 book covers in a month, and they were willing to pay pretty well. And so I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then they like wanted a few more and they were willing to pay a good price. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. But they haven't paid me yet. So like something was complicated with the contract where I couldn't get a certain signature for them and it kind of just messed everything up. So now I don't know if I should like continue with the freelance or like just stop altogether, even though like I finished 2 of the book covers completely. So yeah, that's something that's been stressful, and I kind of regret like taking it on without a super particular contract that says, oh, you will pay me at like the halfway point or something, you know? Like I just think it came with inexperience. Like I didn't know what I was doing or getting myself into. So
So you would approach it in that sense that you would have a contract better, like more detailed.
Yeah, better contract. Yeah, like they gave me one, but it was mostly for like the money aspects and much like when exactly the payment would be received. So that was just totally my fault. And like I definitely needed to learn more about contracts. It was complicated because it was out of country.
Yeah. And how would you approach the pricing? Because, you know, like people always are like, oh, how much should I ask? And I'm new or I'm, you know, so do you ask friends how much you should ask? Or
yeah, I definitely ask friends. And like I also ask my boyfriend since he's an illustrator and he's done like a lot of freelance in the past. So he has really good advice. And also if it's like a well-known company that's pretty big, they'll usually like they know how to work with artists, so they'll usually negotiate a pretty good price with you. That's fair.
So do you wait for them to tell you the price or you ask for something?
Usually I just ask to discuss it and usually it just goes from there. I mean, if they're not, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but like if they go too low, usually I'll just state my price right off the bat.
Yeah. Okay.
If they try to like lower it way down, I'll be like, like, oh, can you do like portrait for $20? Like, nah.
No. So maybe it's good to set some I don't know, like, okay, this is what I would like to be paid, and then ask for a little bit more because they will press you down or something like that.
Yeah, I've done that in the past, but usually like I'll just do it by how many hours I estimate it to take me. I'll like compare it to like what I'm making right now at my job and like just divide it by hours. And that usually helps me estimate a price too.
Oh, yeah, that's actually interesting approach that you can see what is the kind of the standard in the industry and divide per hours.
Exactly.
In that way. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think it's important to like stand up for yourself. Like, don't lower your prices so much just because you know you want to get the work, because that kind of like lowers the price for everyone else too. You know.
Yeah, definitely. And what about some, like tools which simplifies your life? Something maybe you bought recently, or it's a software, or I don't know, something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Planners actually really help. Like that's something that I've gotten into for the past year. And I was never like a planner person. Like I'm pretty disorganized most of the time, but it really just helps me out. Like it helps just to write down what I want to achieve like every week and make little bullet points. And it's actually really satisfying, like checking off the bullet points of things you've done. I'm like, yeah. So,
I am the same. I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Such a rush. Like, yeah. Finish something.
Yeah, and when I don't check off anything, then I'm like, oh, I haven't done anything. This is horrible.
I feel you.
And do you have some favorite quote maybe you would put on the sketchbook or the notebook or something you just like?
Oh, yeah. One of them is create whatever causes a revolution in your heart. And that's by Elizabeth Gilbert. She said that in her book, Strange Magic or Big Magic. Yeah, Big Magic is another book I would recommend for artists. It's all about creativity. And I just really like that quote because, just like do whatever makes you happy and keep up with your passions.
Nice. And if you think about like 5 to 10 years in the future, what would be your dream scenario if you cannot fail and you're not afraid of anything?
Oh, yeah? Oh, man. Well, like I definitely want to travel more, and I would love to just like keep a travel journal with sketches and like sketch all around the world. That would be so cool. That, and I'd also really like to, like eventually become an art director for something that would be really cool. And that's definitely one of my goals eventually.
Nice.
And just working in an animation studio and just like taking on a bunch of different projects and just being around passionate people would be great for the next.
Yeah, that's really important always to surround yourself with people who are better than you, maybe, because you can always learn and grow. So
exactly, yeah.
Oh, perfect. And my last question would be, what would you like to be remembered for in like 100 years?
Oh my gosh, that question is so hard to answer. I would like to be remembered for, well, my artwork, but I also want my artwork to go towards something. Like, I want to be able to tell a certain story, even if I don't really know what that story is, but I just want to like send a message through my artwork and, you know, make people happy that way.
Oh, really nice. And before we say goodbye, maybe you can like tell us some parting piece of guidance or last advice. And I'm super happy that you took time to be here. It's so nice.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun. Just like never stop learning, kind of like what I said before, and just, you know, like keep it up. And if you get burnt out, that's okay. Just, you know, don't drop your passions altogether just because of a burnout.
Oh, nice. Super cool. And thank you again for being here. And thanks everyone for joining.
Bye.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know in comments. Also, please subscribe to my channel for more videos because I post new interview every single workday. You can also find the resources mentioned in this episode at artsideoflife.com. Just type a guest name in the search bar. There is also a little freebie waiting for you, so go check it out. If you want to listen to the interviews on the go, make sure to check out the podcast episodes at artsideoflife.com/podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and don't forget to inspire each other. I will see you guys in the next episode.